Rev up your engines!
Here we go. Fiat Chrysler's rolling out 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Now, obviously, this is in relationship to the pandemic that's going on, that where people don't have any money. What they do have, they're using for other things. So they're giving 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Now, the only problem that I see is all they need to do is to be building good cars, which they haven't been doing for quite some time. Their sales the last quarter, before there was any kind of pandemic, was going down the toilet. And of course, they were merging with Peugeot, and their sales were down too. So, I mean, these guys are grasping at straws. There's no arguing that. I can't see 0% financing and no payment for 90 days a reason for me to go out and buy a car that isn't all that well made. I'd rather buy a quality car and pay a little bit more for it and have to make payments on it. And, I mean, they're really starting to stretch it now. They're pulling off all the stops to stop from going bankrupt. They have something called Chrysler Pacifica Family pricing for families, and Dodge Power Days, where they give you $10 per horsepower discounts. They're trying anything. I guess P.T. Barnum the ghost of P.T. Barnum must have gotten into them. And they're doing just like Volvo. They have an online retail experience where customers can purchase vehicles from Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Fiat, now from there, directly from their homes. They don't have to go anywhere. That was what I've always seen the problem with Italian cars. They look great, but then once you own one and they fall apart, it's not such a great experience. So you look at the picture on your computer screen of your phone. Yeah, they really do look good, but take Scotty's warning. If you value your money, don't buy one of those things. All right, here's some real car news. The Trump administration is rolling back fuel efficiency standards. As it was going, cars had to get more and more higher gas mileage ratings to pollute less. Well, they're rolling it back. What it is they're making lower annual increases of the fuel mileage. The gas mileage standard is going to increase to 40.4 miles per gallon by the year 2026. And before, 46 miles a gallon instead of 40. So the real problem here is the costs increase radically as the cars get more efficient. It wasn't that big of a deal getting a 60s car to pollute less because it polluted a ton. But the new cars pollute a lot less. So if you have to keep increasing how they work and get better gas mileage and make them more efficient, it gets harder and harder and harder to squeeze that last little bit out because they're already running relatively efficiently. Now, according to the EPA, that'll allow for 1 billion more tons of pollutants to go into the air, as well as 80 billion more gallons of gasoline that are going to be burnt. But it would also lower the price of the average car about $1,000 because it costs more and more and more money to make these things more efficient as they get closer and closer to whatever level of efficiency the machine can operate at. Realize no machine's going to be 100%. As you get closer to being 100% efficient, it costs more and more to get that last little bit. Well, now, who knows what's going to actually come about with it? That's their plan, but if you remember, Trump said that California couldn't have special air regulations, and California and 22 other states sued the Trump administration over the emission standards, and that's still presently going on in court. So we'll see what the future brings, but they're not going to meet these standards that they said they were going to from the Obama administration, increases in the gas mileage. Not getting rid of it altogether, but making it lower. Here we go. Volvo has increased the laziness of the already lazy American public. They have what they call Volvo Valet, remotely handles maintenance. And here's how it works. It allows a Volvo owner to get his car serviced without going anywhere. They can set up an appointment with their phone. Then a Volvo employee comes to their house to pick up their car. If you want to pay for it, they will drop off a loaner car at your house when they take your other car away. So it's kind of like Uber, only instead of calling them up and they come and take you somewhere, they come and take your car to go get it serviced. Now, of course, there's no mention on the cost of this. Everybody knows you go to a dealer, you're going to pay the most you could possibly pay just about anywhere to get your car repaired. But when they're done working on your car, of course, they bring it back to you. And if you had a loaner car, they take that away too. And it's also any age Volvo. They don't care. Some other companies have done similar type things, but only for the really new cars. This is for any Volvo that they'll work on the car, pick it up, fix it, bring it back, and give you a loaner if you want to pay for the loaner. And they say that later in 2020, Volvo's even going to expand this. They will deliver a newly purchased it's just their lease car to you, so you don't have to go to the dealer to look at it. But they will give you a test drive overnight on a used car in case you want to see if it's any good. Now, if you think this all has to do with the virus, well, it doesn't, because they started way back in 2017. They've been thinking about this for a while. Here we go. Americans can be even lazier. You don't even have to drive to get your car fixed. They'll come pick it up, fix it, and bring it back. And in the future, you don't even have to go look at new cars. You can just call them up and they'll deliver it. Or if it's a lease car, they'll just bring it to you. And you don't have to go through the bother of going to the dealership. Next thing, they're going to supply a driver with the car when you buy it, so you won't even have to drive it. Wedge Image says, Scotty, I'm 16, get my license. My budget for used cars, $8,000. Well, I got my first used car for $500. That's a lot of money to me. I was thinking about getting a used Mercedes-Benz 210 4MATIC GLK 350 with close to 100,000 miles. Would you recommend this? No, please. You're 16 years old. Those are endless money pits. Now, I mean, you're 16, you got $8,000. I mean, if your daddy's a millionaire, he's going to be paying for everything. He's going to pay for the repairs. Go right ahead and get the Mercedes, you know? Those things are endless money pits, and the 4MATICs are probably one of the worst. The all-wheel drive ones, man, are they expensive to repair. You can double the price of many, even Mercedes repairs with those four-wheel drive ones. The regular two-wheel drive ones are bad enough. Those are worse. Then again, you know, if your daddy's a millionaire, he's going to pay for the stuff, go right ahead. Spend daddy's money. But if it's your hard-earned money from, say, a paper route you saved up your whole life and now you're 16, don't waste it on a Mercedes. RF55 says, Scotty, can I change my oil from regular to synthetic on a high mileage car? I don't advise it. Now, I have talked to oil engineers, and they say, well, it shouldn't make any difference, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Customers have an old worn out car, ran on regular oil the whole time, and they thought, oh, well, it's an old car, we'll put synthetic oil to protect the engine. Then it would either start leaking oil or burning oil. The synthetic oil flows better, which is great on a new car, flows and lubricates. Not so great on an old worn car because it'll flow through holes faster, and for some reason, some of them start burning more oil. I'm assuming that it flows around the piston rings and then is burnt. Instead of, when the pistons go up and down, they're supposed to scrape the oil, it lubricates it, and then they go down, they scrape the oil off, because if they don't scrape the oil off, then when the gasoline explodes, there'll be a bunch of oil and it'll pollute the air and ruin the catalytic converter. If you change from regular to full synthetic that flows better, I don't advise doing it on really old cars. The engines seem to get used to whatever oil's in them. If it's working fine, just leave it alone. Don't do it, because I have had customers do it. Now, if your car's got 20, 30, 40, 50,000 miles, I've seen people change that, and it seemed to make no difference whatsoever. But on an old, worn-out, high-mileage car, I don't advise doing that. Ashwin2610 says, Scotty, when buying a used car with some drivetrain warranty remaining from a dealership, is the dealership responsible for having papers showing the remaining warranty, or is that something I should check with the maker? Thanks. Always check with the manufacturer. I've seen different deals from different manufacturers. Most of the ones I've seen here in Texas, the warranty's the warranty. It's mileage and age, not owners. Now, of course, if a car, you say you bought a used car and it was totaled in a wreck and you bought it with a salvage title, well, the warranty's gone then because it was wrecked and it's not going to have any warranty. But as long as it hasn't been totaled by an insurance company, the rest of the warranty should still be in effect. But you want to check with the manufacturer, because who knows? They're always changing the rules. But from my experience, as long as the car hasn't been totaled by an insurance company or in a massive wreck, they'd have to still have the drivetrain warranty in effect. Honda One Love says, hey Scotty, what car do you think attracts a keeper lady you would marry if she used to care for what car you drive? All right, well, I've been married for like 44 years now, and when I met her, I was driving a Ford Maverick that I bought for $550. They don't make them anymore, sad but true, you know. You just want a normal car, you know. Nobody wants a gold digger. It wouldn't make any sense. I do have to say, my wife had more money than me. When we got married, she had like $900, and I only had about $400. Back in those days, I didn't have much money, but that's a good thing, you know. Maybe I married her for her money. I don't know. But, yeah, a plain car, you know, like Toyota Corolla, Camry, whatever. I mean, just don't go hog wild thinking that Porsche is going to find you a woman who, you know, you want to marry. I had a customer once. He was in his 30s. He was a photographer, and he was dating this 18-year-old woman that he met at a photo shoot. She was a model, and he bought her a new sports car, and he thought, oh, yeah, well, guess what? I told him, I said, don't spend too much money on that sports car. She's going to wrap it around a pole. Sure enough, she wrapped it around a telephone pole, Then she found a guy with a Porsche, and she left him for that guy, even though he had bought the car that she wrecked. So, don't follow his route, that's for sure.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.